The Book Thief by Markus Zusak. He was born in 1975 and grew up in Sydney, Australia. In the course of his career, he has written 5 books. 2 of these include The Underdog and When Dogs Cry. The Book Thief, also one of his, was awarded for International Bestseller. Adaptation. For my adaptation, I am choosing to do a literal. Plot. Exposition. In the beginning, we are introduced to the character Death. He is the narrator of the story and everything is told from his point of view. In the beginning, we are also on a train. On the train, we meet Liesl, her little brother, and her mother. Unfortunately, on the train, her little brother dies from sickness. The story is set in World War II in Germany. Inciting incident. The inciting incident is when Liesl goes to live with Hans and Rosa Huberman on 33rd Himmel Street. Rising action. Her brother's death and her mother giving her up to foster parents was a huge part of the rising action. It is also hard for her adjusting to her new life. We find out later that she doesn't know how to read or write, so she has to take a long time to learn to read and write. We also meet a Jew named Max. Hans Huberman owes his life to his father, so in return, they hide Max in their attic. The climax is when Liesl sees Max being marched off to a concentration camp with a bunch of other Jews. Liesl tries running after Max, and Max hugs her. When Max is caught, he is whipped and carried off. The following action and resolution. Liesl decides to write her own version of the story. She has to learn how to move on after the death of all of her friends and family in a bombing. She is the only one to survive. Liesl Menninger. She is a protagonist, and she is 9 years old, is short, has blonde hair and brown eyes, and is very skinny. I would choose Peyton List to be her actress. 2 quotes that I think really describe her are 1. With one eye open, one still in a dream, the book thief, also known as Liesl Menninger, could see without question that her younger brother Werner was now sideways and dead. 2. She leaned down and looked at his lifeless face. Liesl kissed her best friend, Rudi Steiner, soft and true on his lips. He tasted dusty and sweet. He tasted like the regret in the shadows of trees and in the glow of the anarchist's sweet collection. She kissed him long and soft, and when she pulled herself away, she touched his mouth with her fingers. Her hands were trembling, her lips were fleshy, and she leaned in once more, this time losing control and misjudging it. Their cheeks collided on the demolished world of Himmel Street. Adolf Hitler. Adolf Hitler, however, is not directly mentioned in the book and does not have any quote or sayings. We know that he is the antagonist. He has dark hair, blue eyes, and is very short. 2 quotes that I think describe him are 1. Did they deserve any better, these people? How many had actively persecuted others, high on the scent of Hitler's gaze, repeating his sentences, his paragraphs, his opus? Was Rosa Huberman responsible, the hider of a Jew? Or Hans? Did they all deserve to die? The children? The Germans in the basement were pitiable, surely, but at least they had a chance. Their basement was not a washroom. They were not sent there for a shower. For those people, life was still achievable. 2. To your left, perhaps your right, perhaps even straight ahead, you find a small black room. In it sits a Jew. He is scum. He is starving. He is afraid. Please, try not to look away. Max Vandenberg. He is a secondary character but important to Liesl's life. His skin is the color of eggshells, his hair is like feathers, and he is 24 years old. I would choose Dylan O'Brien to be his actor. 2 quotes that are important to Max are 1. Do you still play the accordion? And 2. He let his mouth kiss her palm. Yes, Liesl, it's me. And he held the girl's hand in his face and cried onto her fingers. Rudi Steiner. He is a secondary character and also very important to Liesl. He is her best friend and her partner in crime. He has blonde hair, blue eyes, and is 7 years old. I would choose Nico Liersch to be his actor. Two quotes from Rudy are, "Insane or not, Rudy was always destined to be Liesl's best friend." 2. "He does something to me, that boy, every time. It's his only determinant. He steps on my heart. He makes me cry." Setting. The story takes place during World War II. For my adaptation, I would not change the time, because during the war is a huge part of the story, and without it, the story would be drastically different. Place. It is placed in Germany, and I would also not change that because a lot of the things that happen in Germany for a reason. Theme. The theme I picked is mortality. Two quotes that fit the theme of mortality is 1. "Here's a small fact. You are going to die." And 2. "It suffices to say that at some point in time I will be standing over you. As genially as possible, your soul will be in my arms. A color will be perched on my shoulder. I will carry you gently away." Mortality is inevitable. We will all die. It is easier to die than to live with everyone you know dead. For my adaptation, I would keep death as a narrator. It adds a flair to the story, and it really brings out the theme of mortality. And in my adaptation, I would keep the same characters that die in the book to die in my movie. Imagery. She leaned down and looked at his lifeless face, and Liesl kissed her best friend, Rudy Steiner, soft and true on his lips. He tasted dusty and sweet. He tasted like the regret in the shadows of trees and in the glow of the Anarchist Sweet collection. She kissed him long and soft, and when she pulled herself away, she touched his mouth with her fingers. Her hands were trembling, her lips were fleshy, and she learned in once more, this time losing control and misjudging it. Their teeth collided on the demolished world of Himmel Street. For my adaptation, I would continue to have death narrated, and I would have everything in the quote on the screen. I would show a close-up of their kiss to make it more dramatic. Upon her arrival, you could still see the bite marks of snow on her hands, and the frosty blood on her fingers. Everything about her was undernourished. Wire-like shins, coat-hanger arms. She did not produce it easily, but when it came, she had a starving smile. I would also here continue to have death narrated. I would show a close-up of her hands, and I would have the camera focus on her body to show how badly she looked and how undernourished she truly was. Symbolism. One of the symbolisms I chose was swastika. It was seen on the uniforms of the soldiers at the book burning. It was seen when the Jews were being marched away on the shoulders of the soldiers. It stands for evil, war, and death. How I would show that in my adaptation is I would switch between an image of a Nazi and then I would go to a tragedy. I would have a close-up of the swastika, and then I would bring a bird's-eye view of the tragedy to show how weak and vulnerable they looked. In conclusion, today we are still hiding who we truly are. Death is still inevitable. We will never be able to change that. We still persecute and are persecuted for our religious beliefs. You don't believe me? Just look at the world today. And there are still good people in the world that are taken too soon. They die too quickly, they're too young when they die, and it's not fair, but so the way everything is.